right, you're welcome back. Now the entire nation wants to know what Arthur was apparently going to do. Go on, Arthur.
Well, he was apparently going to help me with meaningful metrics, but now he's just got to. Yeah, I've got them all.
Okay.
And
Helped it out.
Arthur doesn't have any notes, so he can't have too many meaningful metrics.
I'll tell you, the best stats guys. They don't work off. It's just the inner knowledge. Like when they go down into the Dublin dressing room at half time and Desi Farrell says, give us stats, like, I just didn't follow. I just looked at the game and made my own mind up. That's the modern day stats.
Thankfully, I had Alana to actually help me.
Great.
So.
Norway 3, Northern Ireland 0 is the score at the Euros. 34 minutes gone, not altogether. Surprising scoreline. Norway, one of the favourites for the tournament. Northern Ireland, the lowest ranked side in it, but that could, unfortunately for Northern Ireland, end up being quite a big score. A couple of games in the Europa Conference League in the qualifying round. Derry City 1-0 down at home against Riga. A bad goalkeeping error there, which means Derry trail at half-time. That'd be a big setback for them. Sligo Rovers have come from behind, though, to lead Ballatown by 2-1 in Wales. Goals from Keena and Mata either side of half-time.
Yep. The
start of a great European adventure, Arthur, for your boys.
Yeah, well, that's it. You'll be down there covering it now. I know what you've said.
Oh, we are.
Yep.
We are. Alana's going next week. We sent our best Sligo employee to cover this game.
Call me anyone like that.
So, Alana's going to be there next Thursday night, live into this show.
Good.
No, are you happy?
Touche.
The bitching and moaning last week of, he went on a 20-minute rant about how we only sent to Shamrock Rovers because I go to Shamrock Rovers games and because it's handy.
Bought up and paid for it.
No, we're there. Down Sligo Rovers next Thursday for the second leg of that. And in the Electricity League Premier Division, it is UCD 1, Bohemians 2. UCD went in front, but Bows have come from behind. It's just gone half-time out in UCD. A big story in League of Ireland tonight is that Danny Mandreu has left Shamrock Rovers and signed for Lincoln. Obviously, Shamrock Rovers pretty much with one foot in the next round of the Champions League qualifiers after their 3-0 win against Hibernian, but that was a big setback, losing Danny Mandreu. Alright, just to let you know, this night next week you can join the Football Pod live with James, Paddy, Tommy and some special guests for a live roadshow in Dublin as they build up to the 2022 All-Ireland Senior Football Championship Final. The show is coming to you live from Kilmacud Crokes GAA Club on Thursday, July 14th. It's brought to you in partnership with AIB, proud sponsors of the GAA Senior Football Championship. You can check out #TheToughest for more. Get on to the Football Pod Twitter page if you want to buy tickets. They're almost gone already. Such is the demand to see Tommy Rooney live in Dublin.
Yeah.
We're going to be stuck in here. I'd like to get out there. We should get out there after the show.
This is an ongoing moan that we all have, but
we have to
here
actually
we are
work
every night.
No, I think, judging on what happened in Castlebar after their last live show and the late night in Mick Burns, I think they might find a decent spot out there.
And hero stories.
Decent night after the show last week with the hurling pod as well.
Oh yeah.
Well, from what I saw,
James. Well, actually, the whole nation. Yeah. So I thought when James Skehill put that into the hurling pod WhatsApp group, it was for nobody else's eyes. But then I turned on OTB AM the next morning to see Will O'Callaghan showing the entire nation James Skehill falling off his seat.
Yeah.
The seat collapsed below him more than falling off.
It wasn't James's fault.
Wasn't James's fault.
Look, I listened to that entire show. They definitely had a good night.
I would have liked to have been down Tralee last night as well. I know it's a good old trek. J.O. and Dara Canada, two nicest men in the GEA.
Yeah, that's a fair shout actually. Yeah, I enjoyed J.O.'s Tommy Lyons joke there. I have to say, pretty good one.
I was out for that. I'll have to watch it back.
Yeah,
it's up on all our social channels now.
People will have just heard it.
People will have just heard it. All right, great. Okay, time for Meaningful Metrics.
Meaningful Metrics on Off the Ball.
In partnership with Whoop, the personalised digital fitness and health coach that helps you unlock your inner potential. See whoop.com for more.
So Meaningful Metrics on Off the Ball is in partnership with Whoop, the personalised digital fitness and health coach that helps you unlock your inner potential. See whoop.com for more. Arthur is here. Mick is here. Dublin, Kerry, Sunday. What are the metrics that matter?
Take it away, Mick.
Looking back at the history of Dublin, Kerry, Nathan.
It's not as great a rivalry as Dublin Mayo, is it?
It's a way better rivalry than Dublin Mayo. It spans a much longer period of time, obviously. Maybe not in the last couple of years. There's a couple that we'll get into here about more modern game. But look, they've played 31 times in the championship. That is more than any other team in a non-provincial, not sharing a province. They've played in 15 All-Ireland finals in that time, but also 11 semi-finals. This will be the 12th this year. So, if you were to take it as everybody gets through the front door, then they would be due to meet every 3 years. So, actually, if you take it at, that's 11 in, 50 chances, I suppose. They do tend to meet a lot at this stage. 31 games. Dublin have only won 11 of them. Kerry have won 17, and there's been 3 draws in that time. So Kerry, the traditionally dominant team, but Dublin did win the first ever championship match between them, 1883. You want to have a guess at the score?
I'm going to say something like 3 points to no score.
No, it wasn't too far off though. Dublin won 4, Kerry 3 points, and played at Clonturk Park.
Where's that?
Stone's throw away from modern Crow Park. Yeah, Clonturk in Drumcondra. So that was the first game, but Kerry kind of took over from there. So basically, the Kerry won 6 in a row between 1941 and 1975, and then the Heffo's Army team of the 70s, 76 and 77 being probably, along with 2013, probably the most famous All-Ireland semi-finals of all time, when Dublin won that one. Dublin won both of those games, obviously, but in 76-77 Dublin won, but then Kerry would go on to win 8 in a row after that between 1978 and 2009. That is obviously the biggest winning margin that or the biggest winning run that either team has had in this fixture. And also if you take it as that was 14 out of 16 that Kerry won in that time. And I say that now, there were a couple of draws on either side of that, so that was tie wins, let's say, including the replays as to who went through to the next round or won the All-Ireland in that regard. So Kerry's greatest run then, 8 in a row, ended after 2009, the hammering in the quarterfinals against Dublin. One of the most famous kind of I suppose, I don't know what you would call it. Was it a turning point for Dublin? Maybe one of the most famous turning points in GAA history. But from there, to show how much of a turning point 2009 was, from there, Dublin took over this fixture and are now on their record, having won 5 in a row. And that is obviously 5 wins in 6 games, because there was a draw in the 2019 final. But again, they have won 5 ties in a row and counting between 2011 and 2019. They could make that 6 and obviously equal the 41-75 Kerry record if they were to win this week.
So 09 was the start of Learwig's game, and
Yes,
since then Dublin have won.
It's not a great rivalry, is it? Just listen to it there. They seem to just go in bursts. Like, one of them will be far superior to the other one for a long time, and then it kind of switches.
Even the 70s, right? So in 75 there was a kind of a young, so that was 75 was Kerry's 6th win in a row against the Dubs, right? But both teams, Dublin won the All-Ireland in 74, Kerry were kind of gone and came with a young team in 75 under Micko, and kind of shocked the Dubs a little bit, but bet them easily enough. In 76 and 77, Dublin were a better team at that point in their development, especially in 76. In 77, it was a classic. That was probably the height of that rivalry. But if you look at the actual scores from the 78 and especially the 79 final, where they met again and is part of that storied 70s rivalry between these two teams, Kerry hammered them.
Yeah.
You know, and then again, if you look at 84, 85, 84 and 85, big wins for Kerry. So you're kind of right in a way. There hasn't always been the great games, but actually, if we want to move it forward,
But a rivalry is built on familiarity as well.
Of course,
So
yeah,
they played
yeah.
in 6 All-Ireland finals in the space of 11 years in the 70s and 80s.
yeah.
And throw in some semi-finals on top of that.
Do you find
now, I know
that
that
the
provincial
80s finals get a little bit overlooked almost? Like Dublin obviously won the 83 final.
aside from
but by
Seamus Derby.
But by 84 and 85, I don't think anybody thought that they were... I don't think anybody thought that was a great Dublin team in the way you might have with the 70s. And it just felt... Now, maybe I'm just... Honestly, maybe
Could be
it's
your
just
age.
the way you look back on it.
Well, that's because I would think my first memories are sort of Meath, 87, 88,
Yeah.
Mayo in the final in 89. And anything before that was just, well, Dublin and Kerry dominated.
Yeah. Whereas I had a video called like the Decade of the Dubs that sort of finished in 79 and that hammering to Kerry. So those 80s games almost, They didn't exist in my watching videos.
You're forgetting you're a dub.
After school.
Me?
No.
Oh, sorry.
You did sort of look at Arthur and say that, yeah. Dub by birth. Moving forward, though, right? So there is an interesting stat here that they have met. So of their 31 games, 11 of those 31 have happened in the last 21 years. Now, you'll say the back door is exactly, that came in 21 years ago. Is that the reason for it? It is a little bit, but it marks the change in Gaelic football, right? So as I said before, technically the Munster champions are due to play the Leinster champions in semi-finals every 3 years. Now the back door has maintained that, even though we have quarterfinals leading up to it now, right? That they have to play another match before they get there, but still they are due to play each other every 3 years. But Dublin and Kerry didn't play each other in a semi-final from 1977 to 2007. Right? Big old gap for them not to be Munster and Leinster champions at the same time, right? But then they played each other in 2007. They played each other in 2000 and they didn't play during 2010, so that's one they missed, but played during 2013, 2016, and then would have played each other in 2019, only they ended up meeting in the final because everything was messed up by the Super 8s, which both of them topped the group, which meant that they didn't meet in the semi-final as they would have due to have been by provincial structure. So if you take it that way, 4 of the last 5 meetings that they could have had would have happened. I'm saying this a little bit weird, sorry. I realise that now.
Is there one line you can give us in this?
No, but do you understand what I mean? It's nothing to do with the back door. It's to do with the fact that Kerry are dominating Munster in a way they've never done before, and Dublin are dominating Leinster in a way they've never done before. So they're obviously going to meet more often than they do. Whereas you could look at that and say, oh, that's a backdoor stat. Everybody's playing each other more. And it is to a certain extent. Obviously, 2001, quarter-final, famously for one thing, was a qualifier. But, so obviously things have changed a lot over those years. What else have I got here for you? Not much.
This feels like the start of a new rivalry, though. I know they played in the final in 2019.
Do you think so? Because 2019 is so recent, really.
But it feels that this is Clifford.
Well, Kerry need to win, though.
Yeah, they desperately need to win.
Like, they need to win to end that streak that we're talking about. They need to win to make it a real rivalry, that it isn't just that they're the team that Dublin play every 2 or 3 years and it'll be Mayo next year and Tyrone the year after. Kerry need to be equal partners in this rivalry. So that's the thing that I'm most looking forward to this week, to see if they can actually, if they can just do it. If they can, Mayo, I think, are the only ones that could manage to make it the true rivalry without success because of how close they came and because of how often they did play. And then they even got that, like, what an amazing thing for Mayo to have that
Pyrrhic victory
have that
in the
end of the.
Just so happy to be on the pitches, that great Dublin side, year on year.
But they didn't
paid more to go into Croke Park.
Mayo never beat them for an All Ireland, but stopped the 7 in a row. You know what I mean?
They were still 7 in a row.
But they were still the team that stopped Dublin on the most historic run in history. So
the greatest days of my life. I don't know what you're mocking it for.
What do Kerry have in this? What?
That's not a thing.
Winning the semi-final against Dublin.
It's meaningless when you don't win the final.
I don't care. In the lashing rain, when you're, it's the way. It was the manner of the victory. Like, Mayo were all over the shop in the first half. Dublin were killing them.
Dublin rivalry, though.
It is, because
they come from nowhere. They're dead. They're dead at half time, and they stopped Dublin from winning 7 in a row.
A proper rivalry if one team doesn't win the All Ireland.
But sure, it is a proper rivalry.
No,
there's no rivalry in. There's no rivalry in the GAA at all right now. Then is there not?
Dublin won the rivalry, but Mayo got the last dig in.
There's not.
They won the 12th round on points.
Oh, absolutely, there is a rivalry.
No,
a rivalry is built on the quality of games, the dislike.
How could you say that 2016 and 2017, those 3 games wasn't a rivalry?
They're not. That's not.
The Dubs hated Mayo. The Dubs absolutely hate Mayo. It was the best part of that semi-final win was, for the entire game, all the Dubs did was give Aidan O'Shea dog's abuse. I didn't even care. Every time they'd kick a point, nothing, little polite round of applause while they're eating their prawn sandwiches. Aidan O'Shea got the ball, absolute vitriolic abuse, and then to ram it down their throats after all the pain they had caused Mayo for the previous decade. That's a rivalry.
I'm not saying there's not embitterment. I'm not saying it didn't matter. I'm not saying anything like
But
that.
if it matters, it's a rivalry.
But like, if it,
You
well, it's
can't
not,
play
it's not,
each other as often as they have in games of importance as often as they have,
Arthur, your argument
and
is
not
ludicrous.
say it's a rivalry.
How is it ludicrous? You can't, like, if one team doesn't beat the other team when they're supposed to on the biggest stage of all at
When
any
were
point.
they ever supposed to beat them?
Well, by matter of aggregate, that you think eventually it's going to have to
They
happen.
lost to them by a combined 2 points over
So,
3 All-Ireland
doesn't
finals
matter.
in 2 years.
Tipperary, Kilkenny and the hurling. That's a proper rivalry. They get the one over the other one.
But they didn't for a long time.
But they did. Tipperary stopped Kilkenny.
But Mayo stopped Dublin.
They didn't stop when it mattered.
What do you mean when it mattered? It mattered. Why did it matter? What happened is Mayo bottled it the week after.
Not a chance. They didn't stop them when it mattered. It was beyond mattering, and the 5-in-a-row had been done. That team had to stop at some point. It was a nice symbolic gesture. It's like, oh, fitting that Mayo can stop them. But like, come on.
Kilkenny won almost every league
Hell
final
shot.
and All-Ireland final that they played up until 2016 when that definitely didn't matter anymore.
Just saying.
Let's get back to it, just because we should talk about this. Let's move it on to Mayo, because that's where we're all our most comfortable, let's face it. But just to finish on the Kerry point, I do think that if they don't, I think that they have to make themselves equal partners in this by winning this weekend, or else we are just in for the position of Dublin's successors still open. So is it going to be David Clear? Who's the top scorer in Kerry-Dublin championship games in history? Have a think about this now.
Gooch.
It isn't Gooch. It was never going to be Gooch.
What's that? Seems like a good guess.
Well, I don't know. Maybe it would have been, but it isn't. It's a man who left Paddy Cullen running like a woman who was afraid that her buns were burning in the oven.
I wasn't sure where that he was going to.
Do you not know that Con Houlihan quote?
No.
Con Houlihan quote that I've butchered, no doubt, as I have with everything in this segment so far.
If Gooch isn't one, Gooch is two.
Gooch isn't in the top
Thing,
two. Oh, he might be actually. We already know the top Dublin one and top Kerry one.
The top Dublin one.
Fireman.
O'Gara.
Fireman.
Oh no, O'Gara.
O'Gara. Why did I say O'Gara? Not O'Gara. Dean Rock.
Dean Rock is correct.
Dean Rock.
Oh no, O'Gara.
Do they look
Sorry
alike?
to laugh at O'Gara. He
Sorry,
didn't take
O'Gara.
freeze. It was a sub.
I don't know why
O'Gara
O'Gara just came to my head when I was
Dean
thinking.
Rock has 29
Rock.
points. The biggest, highest scorer is Mikey Sheehy, who scored a pretty incredible 327.
Wow.
Against
Gooch
Dublin.
can't be far off that.
I
Who
don't
scored
know.
in that start Learweek game? He scored about 1-7 or 1-8.
Yeah, in 5 minutes. No, it's Mikey Sheehy, and the Con Houlihan quote was he left Paddy Cullen running to the oven like a woman who had left her
Something like that. There was
buns
a
burning or
did
something.
Did you get away with that?
There was another line about a fireman who returns to find his station ablaze.
Good writer.
He was decent.
Better than I am at meaning the metrics. Anyway.
Listen, Mick. Sometimes you turn up the goods. Listen, you sparked the most outrageous comment of the year so far.
It's not outrageous.
I will absolutely say Dublin dominated that rivalry. I will absolutely.
Ring
But to
up,
suggest
ring
that
up.
it wasn't even a rivalry.
But okay, so if we're just talking about it being two teams who meet consistently for a
No.
few years, you're talking about it being a great rivalry. Let's get that apart.
Mayo were the team that
2016
Dublin
and
were-
2017 were arguably the greatest All-Ireland finals of modern times.
Well, if Dublin thought they had to beat Mayo to win the All-Ireland at the start of the year, which they've often talked about it, then it was a rivalry. Who else were they rivals with?
And they hated each other.
They were unrivaled.
These lads used to be meeting in Coppers on a Sunday night after the game, and
I struggled to know.
Wasn't friendly.
I don't know how they. I don't know how.
But sure, they barely beat them. Like it was
Every,
Arthur, you're
they
letting
beat them
yourself down
every
badly
time.
here.
1 point in 2013.
It doesn't matter.
One
It
point in
doesn't
2016,
matter
the
how many
greatest football
times.
game possibly ever played.
You're anti-Mayo bias.
A draw in 2017, the All-Ireland
Outrageous.
final.
I'm just fed up with the mythologising, Nathan. I'm done with it. You just can't call it that
Literally
one. It's
banging
constant.
You know, I was all out for this year, obviously, and then I heard Lee Keegan on OTB AM this morning. I thought, I just love Lee Keegan. I kind of want Lee Keegan to retire so he can come work with us.
Are you saying that there's a mythology around Lee Keegan that's bullshit?
Me?
Yeah.
I have no problem with Lee Keegan at all. I have no problem with players at all. I have no problem with any of
Lee
this.
Keegan is Mayo's greatest ever player. Part of that great Mayo team with that great rivalry with the Dublin team.
I mean, well, look, that's fine, I suppose, but you kind of, there has to be. Oh, like you don't want to measure everything off success, but like, geez, you have to win. You know what I mean? You have to. There has to.
The one they did win, you're now saying, was completely irrelevant.
It wasn't relevant within the source of none of them won the All Ireland.
What have Kerry done though? We always say that Dublin and Kerry is a rivalry. What's Kerry done in this run? They had possibly the greatest game ever in 2013, right? Since then, what have they done? 2015 All Ireland final, forgettable. 2016 All-Ireland semi-final, I can't remember it. I've been looking at the score of it. I can't remember that game. And then, 2019, fair enough, but they still lost.
I'm not defending that.
I'm just saying that we assumed.
Apparently, Lee Keegan said it wasn't a rivalry because they didn't win one.
Did he?
Killer always just text me. Yeah, but he's only saying that out of modesty. He's only saying that out of modesty.
Oh my
And
God.
Lee Keegan is also wrong. You've gone down in my estimation, Lee. You've gone down in my estimation. Dear God. His career as a pundit is gone with nonsense like that.
Don't retire for another year yet, Lee.
Keep it going.
You don't have a job here.
Clearly a rivalry.